There's a lot of people in the sports world nowadays. Athletes, media personalities, bloggers, podcasters, video producers, influencers. All with amazing stories to share about how they got to where they are today and where they're going tomorrow. I'm DJ Flook, and along with my partners, Kate Thompson.
I'm sorry, I didn't go to a college that has football teams, so sometimes I spaced out.
And Jillian Fisher.
Hey! Oh my gosh, I alerted my pug, and he's like, oh no, don't bark, please don't bark.
We're here to share those stories in something we like to call StadiumScene.tv's main event. Hey, before we get started here, Kate and I actually are out this week, having some schedule conflicts, so there'll be no actual new episode this week. We plan on being back next week with an all-new guest, but this week we're actually doing something different. We're actually re-releasing one of our old episodes from back when we were called just the Stadium Scene Podcast. It's with Bernard Pollard, the former NFL player, and was kind of one of our first big breaks as a guest. We kind of floundered around trying to putting together our own identity, and we just weren't sure where we were going with this. We were still pretty new, even though it had been like a year and a half. We hadn't produced many episodes, and Bernard was one of our first kind of lucky breaks. And it's kind of hard to actually go back and listen to it myself, realizing that, you know, how far we've come in the last 2 years as a show, as somebody who's essentially broadcasting, and see the tremendous growth we've made. I'm just kind of embarrassed at myself. One of my top things as a interviewer is know who you're interviewing and make sure that you come fully prepared. And in the first 2 minutes of the show, I mispronounced the clothing brand that Bernard owns, so that was pretty lame on my part. But you make mistakes, you learn, you kind of find your voice and that rapport between you and your partners and you and your guests, and you go from there. It was a very enlightening, very fun conversation with Bernard, learning about his travels through football and some of the people he met along the way. Playing in that infamous Harbaugh Bull, Super Bowl, where they lost power. And so I'm just going to shut up now and let you listen to the rest of the show. So, ready or not, here's Bernard Pollard. Welcome to episode 35. Kate is here with me.
Hey, hi.
Hi, Kate.
How are you?
I am okay. I'm doing better than Jillian is right now, or I guess maybe not. Depends on your perspective. She's not here with us today. As you've known from our previous episode, she's been working with NBC Sports on covering the Stanley Cup playoffs, doing those videos daily, and fighting trolls for the last 2 months. And she decided she wanted to go do a music festival before she decided to take her week-long nap after presenting at the awards show this week. So big stuff for her, but she'll be back next time. We'll go ahead and jump right in. We have a guest today with us. We're really excited for this. Our guest today played 9 seasons in the NFL for the Kansas City, Houston, Baltimore, and Tennessee, and was on the winning side in Super Bowl 47, a.k.a. the infamous Harbaugh Bull, between Baltimore and San Francisco. Today, he's the host of the upcoming podcast, The Bernard Pollard Show, and founded his own clothing line, pronounced Donatos. I hope I pronounced that right. But before...
Donatos.
Sorry, what was that?
Donatos.
So there we go. I learned something today then. But before all that, he got his start as my neighbor at Purdue University. Please welcome to the show, Bernard Pollard.
What's up?
Hey, thanks for being on the show. And
thank you guys for having me.
Despite my introduction, we've never officially met before, even though we probably lived right down the street from each other. Before I moved too far ahead, which dorm did you live in when you were at Purdue?
So the entire football, all the freshmen was in Wiley. So we were all in Wiley kicking it, man. You bringing back memories now.
Yeah, we were right across the street. So yes,
sir.
You literally were my neighbor.
That's good,
Well,
man.
that's exciting. So we're going to jump right in. We mentioned in the introduction, we're going to talk a lot of NFL today. Just, seems like the obvious topic, but I want to get right into talking about the Super Bowl. And, you've lived what, most boys grow up to, dream as a child, growing up playing in the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl. Just, can you give us a feel of just what that overall experience was like for you?
The experience was amazing. And I think, kind of what you just said, a lot of boys dream of that. That's, what they wanted to do. Winning the Super Bowl was never a part of, it wasn't a part of my future. You know what I'm saying? Like I tell a lot of people, I play football. Football was my getaway. To stay away from the house, to, I was with my father, and that was my time to, not have to be in the house with 5 girls, my other brother. It was an opportunity for me to escape because, we had just some, me and my dad, we're not on the best of terms right now, but, I don't hate him. But that was my getaway. So when I was playing football, I knew that I was a little different than everybody else that I played against. And so right around going into my sophomore year, I knew I had a chance to play in college. And so that I was just like, okay, I'll go ahead and I'm going to take this thing serious. I'm going to roll with it and I'm just going to go. And right at my senior year, I was just like, okay, if things kept going good. So I got to my freshman year. I was like, I'm not, red shirt and I'm playing as a freshman. I'm starting as a freshman and I'm supposed to be here 3 years and I'm off to the NFL. And so I just never thought about Hall of Fame. I've never thought about Super Bowl. I just wanted to play football. And thank God it happened.
Yeah, that's definitely a different perspective. I did not really expect that. So going back to the game and the preparation and the festivities. I mean, media day is pretty infamous for just the variety of characters that show up and the variety of questions you ask. Do you have a standout memory from that media day that you participated in?
So media day is actually, like you said, crazy. You have Telemundo. You got all kind of people there wearing the craziest clothes, and you have to be there, or I think it's $100,000 fine. You have to be there, and you have to communicate. And so, the way the NFL has set this thing up, man, it's genius on their part. But I think at the same time, when you talk about going to the Super Bowl, you got a 53-man roster plus your, other guys that, may be on practice squad or whatever. You got a whole lot of guys that may not ever end up saying anything, and you have them locked in this big room, just sitting there watching. Once again, it's an honor to be there representing your football team, the city, and yourself there in that media day. But at the same time, it's really a clown show. It's a clown show. You might get a couple serious questions. Other than that, it's freaking a clown show, man.
I mean, they show limited highlights on TV of it, and based on these little 30-second clips, you're just like, you're hoping that that's it for just the oddball, but you just got that feeling in the back of your head that no, that the whole day is just like that. So glad you're able to.
They definitely lied to y'all.
So I have a question about the game itself. So
Okay.
DJ and I met because we worked at a company that makes power grid parts. So this Super Bowl definitely caught my attention when the power went out. What was it like being there and playing and having this non-stop?
Well, so honestly, the crazy part about all of that was when the power went out, whoever did it didn't do it right the first time. So they cut the lower bowl off, and the upper bowl was still on. So we all were kind of sitting there like, what just happened? And then you can tell somebody went back in to do it again. They cut the lower bowl on and cut the upper bowl off. And so everybody was just like, okay, everybody was like, man, people start booing. We and the players, we all looking like, we was like, man, what's going on? Because we were beating the piss out of them. And so we all knew kind of what's going on. And then next, everything went dark. And we was like, heck no, man, y'all cheating. So we ended up, it was nothing obviously we could do about it. They ran the show and everything else, but it's the Super Bowl. You got to know that everything needs to be intact, ready to roll. Because if you think about it, nothing happened during the Super Bowl halftime show. Beyonce was there. She did her little routine, and everybody was kicking. No power went out then, but the power went out when we was tearing that tail up, and they wanted to put that fire out.
So the fun little side story. So as Kate mentioned, we used to work together at that company, and after the power came on and the investigation happened, the local electric utility in New Orleans said that it was a defective piece of equipment that caused the lights to go out. And then the company who manufactured the equipment was actually one of our chief competitors as far as, they're actually, we were on the southwest side of Chicago. They were on the north side of Chicago. And they actually issued a statement that said there was nothing wrong with the equipment. The contractor you hired to install and program and do all that stuff for it didn't set it up correctly, so it shut off before it should. And we're sitting here at work, the days after this, and we're just thinking, wow, we just saw a manufacturer of equipment go and throw their customer under the bus after, a huge, black eye for them. And it was amazing that they were so like, wait a second, no, our equipment was fine. It was your fault. You didn't put it in right. So that was
exactly.
That was pretty amazing. That was talked about long after the game was over.
Yeah, man,
and for
that's crazy.
That was one of the only times DJ was thinking at work.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Exactly. She just threw you under the bus.
She threw me under the bus now. So let's just, we mentioned before, this is the infamous Harbaugh Bull, where you had your coach, John Harbaugh, and his brother, Jim, coaching San Francisco at the time. That was obviously played up in the media, but was there really anything in the practice and leading up to it that this was a brother versus brother matchup, or was that just strictly media driven?
Well, it was media driven because I don't know if you guys remember, we played them on a Thanksgiving. I think it was a Thanksgiving or a day before Thanksgiving, either that year or the year before, and they amped it up to that. We played them actually in Baltimore, and but I think at the end of the day too, you don't really come across things that happen like that. Two brothers playing against each other. The parents gotta. The dad, has done some successful things in life, really good friends with Muhammad Ali. He brought him in to our practice one day. But just some of the things that he's done throughout his career. But then also, you look at even in this last Super Bowl, you got the McCourty twins, a set of twins playing on the same defense for New England. So when you have things like that, I think the media will run with it. And I think rightfully so, because you don't see it often.
So that's about what I expected. So moving on, we'll talk about the current state of the NFL. And a few years ago, you made a comment about fans losing interest with all the injuries. Players are getting bigger, stronger, faster, and you had concerns about the NFL potentially not being a thing in 30 years. Do you still feel that way, or have you evolved on that stance?
So, okay, I still feel that way in a sense, but if you look at it, they have changed so much of the game that they're trying to accommodate the moms. They're trying to accommodate. If you look at the quarterback position, they're trying to say, okay, well, we can make these safer helmets, and you're gonna have less concussions and this and that. Well, you can't. I mean, the guys are getting bigger, stronger, faster, every year. So those guys are the one running and making a collision. So if you go and make a safer helmet, it still doesn't matter. You can't just like go get in a car crash, but be careful. You know what I mean? Like this is what you're saying to do. And so I think they are trying to accommodate the parents because they see the drop off. The percentages or the numbers show that they're dropping from youth football. There's no youth, it's really not, I think they said it was down almost 10 to 13%. And so it's going to continue to go that way when you're seeing the collisions, when these mothers are watching football, these fathers are watching football. My son is finally, he's going to be in the 6th grade, and I'm just now letting him play contact football. So this is what's happening. People are pulling their kids, some people holding their kids out, and then, letting them go in. So I'm kind of stuck right now because, if you look at it as well, people are falling off from the NFL and from college, and more from the NFL. Just, and I know that players taking the kneel, that stance, that got to do with it. But then, the safety part of it. So I'm kind of caught in between right now.
Sure, that's definitely understandable. I mean, I think they've made, I agree, they've made some tremendous strides in improving the safety of the game, but at the same time, it's football. I mean, it's a violent game. I mean, hockey is a violent game too. Like, there's risk. Mm-hmm. Nobody's being forced to go out there. Well, hopefully not, but but I mean, people are unfortunately, whatever you want to say. I mean, it's their own risk. They're going out there. They're playing, and they're taking the risk. They know that this could end poorly for them.
Right, I agree.
So moving on to this upcoming season, the Patriots just won another Super Bowl.
I'm so tired of them.
And you having faced off against them a couple of times, especially in the AFC championships, and I think I'm drawing a blank.
You played them in regular season.
You played them in regular season. I mean, do you think they have another run in them, or how long do you think Brady will play? When will we be done with this Patriots team?
You know what? I mean, it's. I was actually just thinking about them earlier today, and that's crazy that you asked me this. So, for me, I think as long as the NFL continues to run after these so-called high-profile players coming out of college, high-profile, players in the free agency, I think what you need to look at is you don't ever see, Coach Belichick making moves like that. They're not running. They don't want to have the top pick. I don't think they've had a top pick in the last 12 years, if that. 10 to 12 years. I don't think they had a top. So if you look at his system, his system worked for his team, and they're not budging. They're not budging. They don't want to be. You don't see them in the running for highest paid players at any position. You don't see them in the running for any high profile college player in a draft. They're drafting according to who fits their scheme, their system. They go to free agency according to who fits their scheme, their system. And when you come there, they break you down to let you know, here, when you come here, you do it our way, and that's the Patriot way. You know what I mean? And I mean, if you look at it, Tom Brady, the second best quarterback to me that has ever been on the center, that has ever threw a football, handed a football off, he's the second best. You've never heard him have a $100 million contract. But he keeps re-ing up because he knows. Why leave that system that works, that he got 6 rings from? No need to.
So who's your number one all time then?
Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is the best quarterback to ever throw a football.
Growing up in Indiana, being an Indiana native myself as well, you're not going to get an argument from me. There'll be plenty of we're going to discuss Peyton a little bit here down towards the end of the show. But, it's funny you say that. It's just with the Patriots, it always seems like they're going after the guy that you've never heard of, the guy who's undersized, who didn't fit in somewhere else. Somebody, you look early on in their run, they had like Corey Dillon, who was seen as kind of a locker room cancer in Cincinnati, and then he comes in and has a great little run with New England, and it just seems like they're always one step ahead of everybody else.
Well, I mean, when you're not chasing like every other team, and you look at high school football, look at colleges when they go to recruit high school football players. It's all about having that 5-star player. Well, at the end of the day, those 5-star players have been the best of the best of the best since they were young. Now, when they get to college, they got to learn how to outwork somebody. So they've never had to work. So that's why they fall off to the wayside, and you don't really hear about them anymore after they leave high school. So this is the same, approach that Coach Belichick is taking. I don't need to go get a high-profile college player. I don't need to go get a high-profile NFL player. I'm going to go get the right player that fits my system that we can keep rolling because everybody else is going to go chase those other players. I don't want to be in the runnings trying to make this guy the highest paid because the more coaches that's talking to that free agent, that's the more money he going to make. Mm-hmm. So Coach Belichick's smart, man.
That's for sure. I mean, it's just, so much has changed. Like, pretty much everybody in that front office has changed, and the only three things that have stayed the same: owner, coach, quarterback.
Quarterback. You're right. Moving
on, I want to ask you a little bit about some of the people that you've either played for or played with, and we'll just kind of run through the teams that you were with, and we'll start with Kansas City. And I noticed early on you played with Jared Allen, who I actually forgot he played for the Chiefs. You remember him from his Vikings days, but what was Jared Allen like? Do you have remember him very much?
So first of all, Jared Allen, he's my neighbor here in Tennessee.
Is that so?
They're moved to Nashville. Yeah, they moved to Nashville. Jared was one of the I'm an outspoken dude. I'm gonna say what I mean and mean what I say. He was the coldest white boy at defensive end outside of Rob Ninkovich that I've ever seen rush the passer. And so for me, when I saw him in Kansas City, I would always just kind of sit back and be like, man, who is this white dude that's rushing the passer? He could run. He had hand placement, hand moves. I was like, dude. So me and him, we hit it off anyway because we both crazy. But, he on the other spectrum crazy. But it was just one of those things where we connected when I got to Kansas City. And he is one of the coolest dudes you'll ever meet. All he wants to do is laugh, have a good time, play football, spend time with his family. I mean, the guy is an awesome dude. I can't say enough about him. He was an awesome teammate. When he left, we knew he was getting paid, when we were in Kansas City. We're like, this dude was racking up sack after sack after sack, and Kansas City couldn't match Minnesota's offer. And when he left to go to Minnesota, man, we all just had to hug him, man. And you got to go. It's a business. He had to go.
Yeah, you always say about the players, they can take money over. If honestly, like, what person, if somebody comes to you with a giant check with a bunch of zeros to the left of the decimal point, who's going to say no to that? I don't care who
exactly.
you are. If someone walked up to me tomorrow and offered me $100 million to do something, short of something illegal, I would say, yeah, absolutely, I'm signed. Where do I sign?
Exactly.
So you moved on to Baltimore after Kansas City, and you played for John Harbaugh, as we mentioned previously, and I believe Chuck Pagano, was he your defensive coordinator at that point, or was he still?
Yeah, so Coach Pagano was the D coordinator when I got to Baltimore. So I went to Houston after Kansas City, mm-hmm. and then Baltimore after Houston. So yes, Coach Pagano was the D coordinator.
Right. Yes. So Pagano, again, I'm digging into my Indiana roots here. He went on to coach the Colts and had that, he had a cancer diagnosis his first year, and he missed out much of the season and then came back. I mean, you really got to see on TV what kind of a person he was, just from how he handled his cancer diagnosis and how he addressed the team when he returned. Is that really, is that how he was when you played for him in Baltimore?
Coach Pagano is one of the man. How do I describe Coach? Because I always call Coach Pagano the blackjack dealer. And I mean this dude he's awesome, and like we still text each other to this day. And I mean he'll call he called me BP, and he just his heart. He has a genuine heart. And, for us, when we got a chance to see him and just seeing him battle, when he did battle, the cancer, and just to see him in front of the team and comment, we knew who that was. We knew that was a real man standing in front of his football team, and I was excited because I almost had a chance to go play for him in Indianapolis if it wasn't for Baltimore, but I almost had a chance to go play for him. And the deal fell through, and I was disappointed because I wanted to play for my coach, who We were pissed because we wanted to win the Super Bowl for him as a D coordinator, but to see him go through that fight and to come out, on top, beating cancer's tail, man, we were excited.
And I remember you almost ended up in Indianapolis. I completely forgot about that until this minute ago. Okay, so this is the question I've been waiting the entire time to ask here. Ray Lewis, what is it like to have Ray Lewis, legendary player, legendary motivational speaker? What is it like to have him as, he was your defensive captain, whether it was official or not?
Right. Ray is Ray. I mean, what you guys see, Ray does some things. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Ray love him some Ray now. Ray love a camera. He love a camera now. But, we call him Suge. And so Suge is just a good dude. He's a fiery dude. He loves to, you guys have seen the his prayers or his inspirational speeches. You've seen it all. And we've had to bear through a lot of them. In Baltimore, but that's who he is. He has a lot to say. He was a great teammate. He's a great dude. And we had a lot of fun playing with each other. And so for me to be able to line up next to I'm not starstruck. So when it comes to people, I don't know movie stars. I don't know people's names. If I see your face, like, okay, cool. Like, I'm not going to ask you to take a picture. I'll let you live your life. You let me live my life. We cool. But, so to play with Ray Lewis was an awesome thing. I never looked at it like, oh, I'm playing with a Hall of Famer. I just lined up next to my teammate, and I needed to make sure my teammate was ready, and he needed to know that I was ready, and we had each other's back. And every single game, he had my back.
Was he one of the guys that, in practice behind closed doors, if somebody may have been slacking off a bit, was he one of those where he was in your face, or was he one of those kind of pull you aside guys and say, hey man, what's his behind the scenes leadership like?
So the crazy thing about Baltimore, and I can tell you guys this, and this is honest to God's truth. Everybody. So when I was in Baltimore, we had a panel. We had a group of guys that we made sure everybody was fine. The whole team took care of everybody. So if somebody didn't do something right, we all got on you. And so we were a veteran-led football team. We're not, a lot of these teams in today's NFL, you dealing with 24, 25-year-old players. They don't know how to win. They don't know how to be leaders. They don't know how to go out there and to be good examples. They're stuck in nightclubs. They're stuck wanting to chase women. They're stuck wanting to chase liquor, chase drugs, whatever it may be, because they're so young. They don't know. And that's the way the league is going. They want younger players, but at the same time, when you get younger players, you get immature stuff. And I'm not going to say that older players can't do it, but when you got seasoned players that are married, seasoned players that have kids, seasoned players that want to spend time with their family. They ain't got time to be in nightclubs. They ain't got time to be doing all this other bull crap, and so we ran that team. And if any, and we really never had any situations where anybody was out of control, because everybody know if you are out of control, we going to call you out on it, whether it's in a team meeting or whether it's at practice. And we had a lot of those meetings where somebody got, I should say a lot of them, but we've had a lot of, some meetings where people have gotten called out, whether they liked it or not. They got called out, coaches or players.
Man, which, ideally that's how you want your team to be. I mean, you've got the good control of the locker room, and clearly it worked out for you guys.
Right.
So finally, asking about teammates, we're going to dig back to your Purdue days. So you played on the defense with Cliff Avril, and on the other side of the ball, you had some time with Kyle Orton. Can you?
Two totally different dudes.
Yes. As someone who was there at the campus and saw some of this firsthand, yes, even I know that. So can you tell us about what those guys were like?
So Cliff, my boy. We all in the group. That's me, him, Dustin, and Stanford. Cliff is when Cliff came in, we all knew he was a little different coming out of Florida. He did some things in practice that we were just like, this boy ain't like the rest of them. You know, I think his class. I mean, I think Cliff was really the only one to come out of his class. You know, go to the league, and but we all knew he was different. He showed a lot of things. We knew he was going to be a defensive end. You know, being able to do some special things off the edge. But he's also a great dude. He's a great man. He's played a long career, got a Super Bowl ring. He has his family. You know, so Cliff is Cliff. You know, a lot of people might misunderstand him. Cliff is Cliff. Cliff want to talk on the radio. Cliff is an awesome guy. Orton, different dude. He's a different cat. He loved his golf. He was an exceptional quarterback at Purdue. I loved him. I hated him for freaking fumbling them doggone footballs when we were number 4 in the country.
You know what? I wish you wouldn't have brought that up.
I had to bring it up. I had to bring it up, bro. Like I argue with people because I'm out here in SEC country. So when everybody's talking about how Georgia or Alabama or Tennessee, I'm looking like we were number 4 before. Like don't diss Purdue now. We were number 4 at one point in time. And, you know, so the sky was the limit with that football team. And for Orton to do that, every time somebody bring his name up, I just think about him. Just all you got to do is slide. That's all you got to do is slide. And you want to dive. You already had the first down. Just slide. And this dude dives and fumbled the ball. But nevertheless, he's a good dude, man. He was a great teammate. Loved playing golf. You know, and in the NFL, you know, we played against each other a couple times. And, I mean, it was good catching up with him. I have no idea what he's doing right now, and that's how he probably like it. He's probably in a cave somewhere. He's good with that.
Just letting the neck beard grow out.
Exactly.
Oh man, I have a good friend of mine who also went to Purdue. He's going to be listening to this, and when this story comes up, I can see him cringing right now.
That's good.
So, Kate. Wake up.
I'm here. I'm sorry. I didn't go to a college that had football teams, so sometimes I space out. Hey, but we played hockey. We were pretty good at that.
Well, we didn't.
That's good.
We didn't have
we ain't have hockey, Kate. But did y'all have field hockey or ice hockey?
We had neither.
It was ice hockey. So, okay. So you faced some all-time greats. So I want to know how you prepared to see like Brady and Belichick get on the field before the game.
Well, so as I tell a lot of, and I train college players, high school players, and pro players. So I always tell those guys, when you look to prepare for a football game, put yourself in that situation before you even get there. Go through it mentally. You know, and so the way that I prepare for games, the way that I work throughout the week to get ready, I put crazy time in. I wanted everybody to make sure or to know that that 31 was always going to be ready. If it was for me, if I knew we were facing a team that ran most of the game, you know, I lifted a little heavier that week just so my body was conditioned, ready to hit. You know, if I knew we were facing a team playing Peyton Manning when he was in Indianapolis, when they were a part of that no huddle, you know, that hurry up offense that got a lot of things going in the NFL that really kind of started that. You better get some extra running in, and I ran extra. I did extra running every day, but you know, when you playing those kind of teams, you got to make sure you are ready to go. And so, you know, it's just like you've got to know your opponent, and I know we hear that so many times in sports and in the work world, in life. Know your opponent. You got to know what you going up against. And so, you know, and I prepare like that. To beat a champion, you got to knock that joker out, step on his throat, kill him. You know what I mean? That's what you got to do.
Right.
So that's what I did.
So you mentioned Peyton Manning. I mean, lining up on the other side, you know, and listening to him, the no huddle, and his Omaha and all his other, you know, his just crazy terminology used at the line. What goes through your mind when you're hearing that? Like, you know, you got this guy just spitting out random words, and you're just thinking, you know, the average person thinking, there's no way this actually means anything, but it did. Everything meant something true.
Right. For me, and it's crazy. I'm walking around in my office, and I got two footballs where I picked off Peyton, and so Peyton. The reason I say he's the best that have ever done it, when he prepares, Peyton knows when your foot is supposed to be a certain way. I remember like it was yesterday. We were playing Peyton, and I was showing blitz, but I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, I'm thinking I'm, doing a couple things. We lined up in this defense before, and so I'm thinking, Peyton, no, I'm going to be in man coverage. So I was trying to show man coverage, but I was blitzing. And so Peyton was just like, yo, 31 coming. He was like, watch Bernard off the edge. So I'm sitting there, and I take off. I'm pissed off because I'm like, how did he know that? I changed up everything. And I didn't change my feet. And so after the game, I'm like, bro, how'd you know? He was like, dude, I looked at your feet. He's like, I watch you in film now. He's like, I know what all y'all doing. And he's just one of them dudes where he watches every single body because he knows in order to get that ball off as quick as he can, in order to get to the right guy that he needs to get it to, he needs to know what's happening. And, I mean, to say that about Tom Brady is the system there. So, I mean, yes, he's made some good passes. Yes, he's done some special things. But Peyton has done more with less talent, I believe, as far as stat-wise. And he might not have as many Super Bowl rings, but he has accomplished more with, and I shouldn't say with less talent because Tom Brady really haven't had a lot of big time. He had Randy Moss. He's had some good players, but Peyton has done some special things with some players, man.
Frequently with the Colts, it was always, number one in defense, number 29, or number one in offense, number 29 in defense. And it's just,
exactly.
Peyton would score 35, but the defense would give up, 33. And it was
right.
But I mean, he did have some absolute weapons on his side. Did you ever get paired up against and be responsible for watching either Marvin Harrison or Reggie Wayne?
So we've done some brackets where I've had to come down inside of Reggie Wayne or, do a couple things where we had, to move around, especially with Dallas Clark, where I've had to cover Dallas Clark man-to-man, or we had to do some things where he was a red zone threat, with the screen game. So Reggie and me and Reggie had some battles now. Like, I've wanted to kill him. And I finally caught him in a game. I think it was a playoff game against the Colts when we were in Baltimore. I caught him coming on the skinny post, and I tried to decapitate him. And I got a 15-yard penalty because I nipped his head with my, with the crown of my head. I didn't mean to, but I've been chasing Reggie for like 5 or 6 years. He always goes out of bounds when I go to hit him. And so I finally caught him, and I tried to run through his organs. So, yeah.
That's I mean, looking back, that's hilarious. But at the time now, I mean, if you would have taken out Reggie, I probably would have been devastated by that. So, all right. So we're rapidly running out of time here. So I want to talk to you about, you've been hyping on your social media that you're going to be hosting a podcast coming up. So what brought this on, and what are we to expect from you with this show?
So with the Bernard Pollard show, so in every city that I've played in, I've always had a TV show or a radio show. And I love to engage. I love to interact with fans. I love to, talk football. But I want to come from a player's perspective. And so for me, I want to be able to put content out there for fans, if it's, for ESPN, for NFL Network, CBS, Fox, whatever it may be. I want to be able to provide insight, because I watch football differently than the fan watch football. I talk about football differently than the fan talks about football. I played this game. I was a fan of the Chicago Bears growing up. After playing football, hey, let's get it, Kate. So after watching or after playing the game, I still love the Bears, but I love the Bears from like 87 to like 96. 95, 96. I'm not, so I don't have a dog in a fight, but I love the game of football. So when I talk it, when I draw about it, when I, writing up little things or whatever, I'm vested. I am invested in this. And so I want to come from that standpoint and to be able to let fans know if your team's winning, why they're winning. If they're losing, why they're losing. If a player does something stupid, we know about PEDs. I know about marijuana. I know how players might sneak tubes to pour it in the cup, to try to psych the person out. I know about the pills that they giving all these players. I know about that. So I want to give fans that insight so that they can be like, okay, we know what happened, or we understand it better. You know what I mean? So through the podcast, through the show, because we're gonna be on YouTube, we're gonna be on Facebook, and social media and podcasts. So it's gonna be fun.
That's exciting. So Kate has her 5 fun, fast facts that she likes to wrap the show up with. So, Kate, go for it.
We used to do trivia, but DJ kept winning, so it kind of sucked.
Yeah.
So we stopped doing that.
Okay. So
these questions are sometimes off the wall. I've been trying to get a little bit more normal on them, but they're still fun. So based on your experience, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
Ooh, Kate, that's actually, so I've heard that growing up, but I've never really, is it 12?
Well, actually, DJ sent me this link beforehand and said that Purdue University has a machine that figured out that it takes 364. However, University of Michigan had a machine that took 411.
Ooh.
And
yes,
I don't want to lick. I don't want to lick I'm only want to lick it a few times and then bite it. I ain't got time to be.
I would lose interest after about 10, 12 or so. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I found that funny that, Purdue, it's like, oh, we're doing all this great research. Oh, we made a Tootsie Pop licking machine so we could see how it... All right. Go for it, Kate.
Okay. Question number 2. Who is your favorite professor in college?
Ooh. Is it bad that I don't remember any of my professors?
No.
No.
Okay. So then... I was asking for a friend, but I don't remember any of my professors.
Okay.
I've been out for over a decade now as well, and I can maybe remember 1 or 2. I remember the one who ripped me a new one in front of the entire lab class the one time. That's really the only one who
Well, see, and the only reason you remember that because it was trauma.
Yeah, it was. I almost failed a class because I didn't get my I got my lab project done with about 10 minutes to spare in the semester, and he ripped me. It was this older guy from Britain, had the British accent, and he's like, "You're very lucky that you're not going to be repeating this class next semester."
See, I'd have told him to shut up, and I'd have walked right out of the class.
I got my passing grade. I had to get out of there.
Yeah, you had to get your grade, baby.
Walk down to Harry's and drink my sorrows away that I just...
Okay.
So my third question. So I have skipped my 7-mile run today. What a shame.
Ooh,
yes. But what's the best activity to keep in shape, in your opinion?
Ooh, in my opinion, see, my wife is into CrossFit. Like she's a CrossFit animal. And so I would have to say for people that don't want to, for people that they don't want to go to the gym and just work out, CrossFit has got to be the best thing. Cause I'm, she's shown me stories of, videos of people's stories of not being able to bend over and pick up things. And then after taking some classes in CrossFit, they're moving, they want to keep everything to the natural movement. Man, so I gotta say CrossFit as much as if she heard me, she'd probably be running over here hugging me right now, but I would have to say CrossFit.
Okay. What is the oddest question you've ever been asked while interviewed?
Oh my goodness. So from Telemundo at the Super Bowl, the lady was it was a lady. She in there with the smallest of the smallest clothes on, and then her camera guy was in a clown suit. So it's literally a joke to them. Like, and so she asked, oh my gosh, what did she ask me? I think she asked me like, how do we shower or something like after games, something like that. It was like, how do you bathe after games? I'm looking like hot water, Dove soap, and a rag. What do you mean? So yeah, it was crazy.
And finally, what is your go-to Taco Bell order?
Ooh, Kate. Oh, man, you taking me back to Purdue. Now, if I try to eat Taco Bell right now, it's going to be a problem. But I can't. So when I was at Purdue, Taco Bell, and so, hey, D, you remember the Taco Bell over by Harry's? It was right down the street from Harry's.
Yep, made many trips.
So I would get 3 Mexi Melts, meat and cheese, extra meat, hold the Fiesta, a taco pizza, light beans, no Fiesta, extra meat, extra cheese, 2 hard tacos, sour cream, no tomatoes. Let me go, baby. I'm telling you, it was off the chain.
I'm sure they probably cringed when the football team walked into.
Heck yeah, we used to go in there with Brent Grover and all them, and dude, it used to be, and then whoever was in the car with Brent, it would be bad. But yeah, so it was good.
That's fantastic. Yeah, bringing back some memories. Actually, I think I heard they're that shopping center. I heard they're demolishing that and replacing it.
Yeah. Dude, have you been back?
It's been a few years. It's been 3 years since I've been on campus.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, I went to Malakoff. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna go back this year. But yeah, it's beautiful. So Kate, we got that thing done. Did I do good with the 5 questions?
Yeah.
She nailed it.
All right.
She nailed it as usual. So that brings us to the end of the show. Bernard, thank you so much for being on the show. Do you have social media you want to plug?
Oh man, if you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram. I want to say that one's B Pollard Jr. at B Pollard Jr. Twitter is at Crushboy31. You know, that's my football. Obviously, B Pollard Jr. I had Crushboy and then I deleted it. I wanted to get away from social media and then I went back to it. I couldn't remember my password, so I just had to start another one. So yeah. So hey, I talk football. I keep it real. I don't bullcrap people. We just have a good time.
Awesome. So, again, thank you, everybody, for listening. Be sure to check us out at stadiumscene.tv. Give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest at Stadium Scene, and on Instagram, stadium_scene. And we will see you next time.